I had a patient, she was, gosh, in her late 60s. She said, I haven't had a libido in probably 20 years. I can't even look at the pool boy now. I can't even look at the gardener outside.
That's awesome.
But that's good, right? Because it's coming back. Yeah. And she feels alive again.
Hey friends, welcome to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm Christine Bullock, founder of KO Body Care, certified fitness trainer and mom of 2 little girls who's just trying to juggle it all and feel as good as possible. I'm so grateful that you're here. Now let's get started, sexy.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm your host, Christine Bullock. If you're starting to feel the effects of aging, such as weight gain, loss of energy, or mental clarity, irritability, even the loss of libido, you want to stay tuned for today's expert. Welcome to the show, Dr. Christopher Asandra.
Hello, Christine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? I'm so excited to have you here today and grill you, spend some more time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So Dr. Asandra is actually my personal doctor and recommended to me by my girlfriend, Brooke Burke, who's a specimen in and of herself. So I'm thrilled to have him here to share his wisdom of longevity. Dr. Asandra is a revered vitality and wellness physician based in Beverly Hills, focusing on hormone replacement therapy and other anti-aging treatments. Countless men and women worldwide have benefited from his cutting-edge therapies and treatments, achieving their own optimal health, balance, and vitality, including myself, of course. So we're going to get into it. I mean, in reading your bio, first, I always like to back up to all of our guests have these amazing missions. And a lot of times it was from their personal journeys that kind of transcended into this. You obviously went to medical school. You have this whole medical background. And although you're still working in Western medicine, longevity, there's something so new to this, right? It's very different. So what guided you from medical school into saying, I almost want to treat people before they have more long-term effects, and make people feel good. You make people feel great.
100%. And so I started actually as an emergency room doctor. And so I was working in ER and trauma a lot. You see the worst of the worst there. And so seeing all that, and you have these patients that come in and they're kind of coming into you sometimes for their primary care too, because they can't get into their doctors, et cetera. And you see them with like this list of medications they're on and they're overweight, they're not feeling good, et cetera. I'm like, there's got to be a different way. There's got to be a different outlet here besides just pushing medications and all these different types of specialists that they have to see. There's got to be a different way to approach medicine versus just all pharmaceuticals. So I started my journey, first in the emergency room and just kind of saw the chronic diseases and everything people were suffering from. And then people started asking me when I'd just go out on the town or something and be like, hey, doc, it started with men. They were like, hey, can you get me 2 things? I need Viagra and I need testosterone. I'm like, that's a good, that's kind of funny that
okay, men, always with the same 2 questions. Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, there's something there because it makes them feel young, keeps them functioning young. And so I started a journey in the anti-aging world. I did the fellowship in anti-aging and regenerative medicine. And then once the men started coming in, I treated them, they got better and they felt better. And then their wives were like, hey, what about me? I
can't keep up with my husband at this point.
Right. You've got him.
I'm scared to send my own husband in to you. So
absolutely, yes. And so I'm like, there's got to be a way here. So I started looking into it, and so I started looking at that as we age, our hormones start going down, and that's kind of the reason we do age a little bit here. We start, feeling worse. We lose our muscle mass. We lose the collagen in our skin. We have less energy, libido, mental clarity, all that stuff. So I'm like, there's got to be a safe way, a cool way to replace this. And what's the right way to do it? And so I started treating my own family first, my mom and my father and some family members. And I'm like, this really works. And I just brought it mainstream and, learned more about it. And it's been, I can't tell you, it just changes people's lives.
It really does. And we're going to get to that because I want to hear about all of the amazing responses that you've got. Yeah. One of the biggest things that you were talking about is the HRT, hormone replacement therapy, but bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. So can you break that down for me? One, what HRT is and what
Sure.
bioidentical means on the separate part of that.
Right. So people always hear about hormone replacement therapy, and we've been using hormones for years, and it kind of got a bad stigma for a while because I think they were using synthetic forms of the hormones, and I think there was a study back in the early 2000s where they had the Women's Health Initiative, and women were getting Premarin. As we know, Premarin means pregnant mare's urine, or it was actually equine or horse derived. And so they were getting all sorts of side effects: cancer, stroke, heart attacks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's how they're mass producing it, was from urine from pregnant horses, if you will. And so, we wanted to find out what's bioidentical, meaning instead of using a synthetic form, how do we match the molecule in your body one for one, so it's exactly the same, and get you, so replacing what you've lost with the actual hormone you've lost without using the synthetic forms. That's what we came with the term bioidentical. And so the bioidentical is just kind of the safest way to do it now. You feel better on it. And, and that's kind of how we do it is using the term and the science of the bioidentical part versus the synthetic.
So where is it derived then from? How do
Well,
they
it's
get
actually
it?
can be made at a compounding pharmacy, but they're usually plant-based. They use,
cool.
they use soy, yams, etc. They use those to kind of derive some of the hormones and fill and make the hormones itself. But they are the actual form of the hormone in the body that you're lacking.
And does anybody have allergic reactions to? Do you have to see if people are like allergic to soy or yams or anything like that?
No, I haven't seen any allergic reactions.
Yeah.
The only time that we may see it is, and this is one reason I don't like to use the creams that you got to put on yourself every day.
Mm-hmm.
We may see a little more allergic reactions with that because everybody's skin is different, sensitivity is different, etc. So that's why I go down the route of the pellets and all that. But they have all sorts of forms of it. You've got the pills, the creams, the gels, the pellets, etc. So all sorts of forms. Just we base it on what's best for the patient.
That was my next question, because I had been through it all during my fertility journey too. They were, a little bit about my background. I mean, Dr. Asandra, but my hormones were completely imbalanced and I was very low almost on everything. And somewhat, I remember hearing another doctor back in my fertility days saying I was like almost premenopause. That's how low everything was.
Right.
I was just very depleted. But I remember trying, I feel like everything, and meeting with you were the first time that I had ever used a pellet. So you do sometimes use some of the other ones, but you mainly like to utilize the pellet.
Yeah, I think the reason the pellet's the best is because, even though it's a small procedure, you get a 24/7 release in the body, and it lasts about 3 to 4 months. And the compliance can sometimes be an issue. So a lot of women used to use the creams that they have to put on themselves every day. One, you got to put on yourself every day, so it's kind of cumbersome to do that. Number two, there's a transference issue. If you get on your hands and touch your kids or pets or whatever, you can, or your significant other, you can actually transfer some of that to them. So I try to shy away from that. I do treat a lot of women with it though. If I can't see them in the office here, if I have to treat them remotely, that's probably the next best option for it. But the pellets are just better because it's a simple procedure. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you're set for 3 to 4 months, and you get that constant release versus the creams. You're kind of doing a up and down kind of thing because you're putting it on every day, and then by the end of the day, it's out. And you're putting it on, it's out. So the pellets kind of give you that slow, steady, 24/7 release, and that's why people feel a lot better with it.
And it is. I mean, for my personal experience, it's so easy. It's just like literally running in. I mean, you could be doing some emails at the same time. It's very, and you're out and you're ready to go. And it's like no pool or sauna for like a day or two afterwards.
Yeah, we usually suggest not getting it wet or submerged in water about 4 or 5 days, and then no like major glute exercises for about 4 or 5 days. But the benefits you get from, you can still do upper
even
body.
that I've done. It's just a little tender, but you can kind of move it around, I'm sure. So
Sure,
I'm still really careful
we just
about
suggest it. So
yeah,
just for safety.
Yeah, it's good. You got to be careful. And so with the hormone replacement therapy, it's all sorts of hormones. Is it all in one pellet that you end up using, or like do you have to do different pellets for different hormones? Because I know for me, to be very clear with everybody, it's just my testosterone has been really low, but everything else is pretty balanced nowadays.
Sure. Good question. So it really depends on the
This is LA, guys.
Right next to Cedars. So no, it really depends what the patient needs. So women who are menopausal probably need more hormones, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, and some thyroid as well. Women who aren't menopausal probably just need maybe some testosterone, maybe some progesterone, but it all is kind of tailored to the patient. That's why we check their blood and really focusing on what the body's lacking and replacing it safely. So we do use estrogen and testosterone pellets. Progesterone that we use because it can make you a little sleepy. It's a pill. We always suggest taking that before bed because if you did as a pellet, it'd be in you 24/7 and you may be getting tired from that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, a good follow-up too is that you mentioned doing your blood work. Obviously, you do that before you even, decide what hormone somebody needs. But I was just in last week as like a 6-week follow-up, or was it even
6
that?
weeks. Yeah.
6 weeks just to check where I'm at. So that you're consistently doing a follow-up, through the process.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the, we hear a lot of myths about hormone replacement therapy or guys using steroids, etc. Hormones are powerful and they can really change your body, change who you are and how you are. So it's really important to follow the blood work along the way. And that's why we're always consistently throughout the year checking your blood work. I mean, we check it probably 3 or 4 times a year on everyone, probably more than your regular doctor even checks it, just so we can get you balanced just right, but and for safety measures as well, because I don't want to go too high or too low. But we want to keep you in that right therapeutic range so you get all the benefits without the side effects.
And so speaking with, especially for women, because most of our listeners are women and we're really geared in there, what should women be looking for and at what age groups? Like, is there a special segment in their 20s where perhaps they would need something like that? Is there a special segment in their 30s, their 40s, or going through particular things, obviously, like leading up to menopause?
Yeah.
When do people come to you?
Great
When
question.
should they be looking? What symptoms? Yeah.
Yeah. So the majority of our patients usually are perimenopause or menopausal, meaning that their ovaries are shutting down. So they're getting the hot flashes, the night sweats, the intimacy is very difficult for them. They're having a lot of dryness, mood changes, brain fog, weight gain, etc. That's usually the majority of the time that we see those patients. However, we do see younger patients having it as well. So if you've got you're training hard, you're under a lot of stress. If you're having the brain fog, that low energy, or you're working out every day and you just notice that it's hard to recover, you can't put on as much muscle mass as usual, that's something to look out to. Also, postpartum depression as well. So a lot of ladies who suffer from postpartum depression, it's usually because there's a hormone dump after you've had a child, and it's good to see what's lacking and we can replace that. Usually it's the progesterone, but
can we break into that really quick too? So what kind of hormones are then dumped? Because I've heard there's this hormone dump that you go through, but then if we need other hormones, is it only particular hormones that we get postpartum?
Yeah, usually it's the progesterone, because when you're pregnant, you have the placenta that's making all that progesterone in the body. And then suddenly when it comes out, it just shuts down. And so a lot of times the progesterone is really what's causing the postpartum depression. And I've seen great results. I mean, these ladies, literally before going on Prozac and going on all these antidepressants, which can actually sometimes make you feel worse or destroy your libido, right?
Yeah.
Why not replace what's lacking? And that's the progesterone.
Yeah, get to the root of it. And then you find that they can come off of that after a year, whenever they start to feel slowly and surely and get the body to start producing that again.
100%. You wean them off slowly, you get them to see it. I mean, that's why we're always reassessing ladies and making sure that they're getting the best results, and then slowly taking them off of it. You don't want to cut them cold turkey, and they do fine. What
are the results that you're getting with these ladies? Like, let's say you're typical. I mean, even my age, obviously going to 40s, I'm not necessarily menopause yet. What are the results? Why are people loving you so much? I mean, I know I can add in, but
I think it's becoming more accepted now, one thing, with the hormones. And you really see it not only change the person, but people around them too, because, you save a lot of relationships, and, because a lot of people are struggling during menopause. They don't know why. You always hear about, he's a moody this or she's a moody this and that. It may be hormonal. And so by replacing those hormones, they start feeling better. They start, their mood improves. They start bonding again. The intimacy and that gets better with their sex lives, if you will. But
your libido is up on it, for all the ladies out there that are losing it, which I was too, with like low hormones, and I missed it. I was like, I don't want to feel this way.
It's important, right? It's so important with you and your partner. It's something that people kind of laugh at and stuff, but they need to look at the other side. That it's very important for couples to maintain that bond and the intimacy that, that they have with themselves. But really, I see it change people internally, right? We're always talking about how I always hear about people wanting to get plastic surgery, and that's good. It makes you feel good on, on the outside and everything. But what about the inside too? We age and our skin gets worse, et cetera, because we are lacking hormones. And if you can look good, but if you don't feel good on top with it, you lose muscle mass, you start getting more fat, et cetera, then that's something to really look into. Yeah.
It's a whole energy level too, feeling like I've been there, and almost like you see that in a preview where I'm like, okay, I'm whatever percentage body fat and I'm in my, early 30s even, but I felt so drained. Then I'm sure everybody's been there at least for a day of their lives where you just don't have the energy to be the best partner, the best business person, the best mom, whatever it is. And I will say that even eating correctly, but that hormone replacement, when you can never get back to it, really helps you achieve just this simple base level. And actually, that's a question, is like, how long does it take after you get a pellet? How long does it take to start to feel better? And then you mentioned how long, but we can kind of clarify how long it lasts for.
Yeah, ladies vary. High metabolism people, they tell me some of them tell me the next day they start feeling better. I'm like, wow, you really
That's what me too.
Yeah, right. So other people, maybe it may take up to a month or a week to a month. But it depends how depleted they are too, right? I've got to fill up their gas tank again, get it going before they can really start feeling the benefits of it. So it does take a while sometimes. I don't like to, under promise, over deliver if I can. Yeah. So I always say about a week or so, you'll start feeling better. And usually that's when they start feeling it. It's like, boom, whoa, something happened, like a veil lifted, and they just feel whole again and happy.
Mm-hmm. It really is like that. And then how long does that last for?
So women, we like to do it every 3 months, even though it may last a little longer. We want to get in at the 3-month mark because I don't want them crashing and then we got to bring them back. So we kind of get them right at when they're coming down, and then, before they run out, we want to start replacing that. And so they can start feeling it before the other pellet wears out and they crash. So about every 3 months or so for women, and for men, it's about every 4 months.
The Keep It Simple Sexy podcast is brought to you by KO Body Care. So tell me if this sounds familiar. You have a ton of high-end serums and creams for your face, but nothing of the same quality for the skin on your body. And that's where my company, KO Body Care, comes in. Our skincare products are made with the same powerful, transformative ingredients as luxury facial products, but they're formulated just for the skin on your body. The same goes for our supplements. We use only the highest quality, clean, plant-based ingredients that help your skin glow from the inside out. My 2 current firming must-haves are our concentrated firming serum. It's our award-winning total body serum to firm, tone, and deeply hydrate topically. I love to add it with our Skin Perfect Next Gen Collagen. It is so much more than just a marine-based collagen. It also has hyaluronic acid, phytoceramides, trace minerals, antioxidants to protect your skin, boost your collagen elastin, and help your skin glow from the inside out. If you're wanting to learn more about KO Body Care supplements and skincare, head to kobodycare.com and use KISS20 for 20% off your first purchase.
For the women who maybe don't have you readily available for them, although we've now heard that you can kind of prescribe it where they can have the creams and stuff like that too, but are there any natural methods that I'm sure you would recommend, even for myself, people that are using the pellets, to help support normal hormone loss for women?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, keeping a balanced diet, really eating healthy, a lot of vegetables, leafy greens, et cetera. But also, fitness, you got to maintain, you got to keep your blood flow moving and blood flow down to the lady parts, if you will, et cetera, to keep the hormones being produced. So it's really important that you do that. There's a lot of supplements you can take too, but I find that they're somewhat temporary in how people feel with it, or they may have some side effects too. But I would look and see what soy can sometimes help with estrogen replacement. There's some other herbs out there that can help with testosterone replacement. Nothing really beats the actual hormone replacement, but
agreed.
I think really maintaining that healthy lifestyle and balanced lifestyle is going to help prolong the hormones longer and help you produce hormones longer as well.
And for anybody that's unsure. I feel like the biggest thing I get on DM is like, I don't know if I have this. I don't know if my hormones, but I'm having all these symptoms. I'm having weight gain. I'm not gaining muscle fast enough, or I'm losing it. And I'm doing everything I can. Like my skin is changing, my libido.
Mhm.
Where can they go to get tested if they're in LA, but
Mhm.
also if they're outside of LA?
I think it's important that you find a doctor who's open to this, first of all, because a lot of doctors, one, don't understand it. And when they don't understand about the hormone thing, they tend to shun it and put it down and say it's bad for you. Oh, hormones are bad because that's what we were taught. But if you can find a doctor that's does regenerative or functional medicine, anti-aging medicine, and really look for hormone or bioidentical hormone replacement therapy doctors in your area, that's really where to start, because they know what to check in terms of which hormones and blood levels of whatever it is to find out what you're lacking, versus if you just go to your regular doctor and you say, hey, run a hormone panel on me, they're kind of like, I don't know what to do. They don't really know, or they may send you to an endocrinologist, but I think an endocrinologist is very well, it's too laser focused and specialized, versus an anti-aging or regenerative or functional medicine doctor who can kind of really hone in on what you're lacking. So you can just Google that, and I think there's a lot of people that come up. And we also do virtual consultations as well, so I can help people across the country if needed, but limited on doing the pellets. We're trying to get more doctors on board, but yeah, hopefully we get open in more cities soon.
Yeah. And I think that, exactly what you're saying is that it goes to show that, oh my gosh, I just totally lost my train of thought. I might need to go get my blood work tested with you. No, I'm kidding. That's just a normal mom thing. But I will say, I totally recommended you to friends that are outside of the state to at least get their blood work. Oh, actually, that's my refresher, to get their blood work tested with you. And then perhaps you can find a doctor for them.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I was going to say, is that I've had my blood work tested by multiple people and look at it, especially through the infertility. But when they're looking at certain things, when I knew I had a low thyroid, or when I knew this, but they look at certain things and it's like a normal level for what your age is. And,
Yes.
or a little low. It's on the low side of normal for what your age is. But I don't want to feel whatever the low side of my age is. I want to feel
100%.
better. And a specialist like you really knows. And even when you spoke to me about it, that's exactly how you explained it. Like, but this is the level that you want to feel.
Right. You make such a good point there, Christine, because, there's a whole range of, let's say your testosterone is from here to up here. Even if you're right here at the bottom of the normal level, your doctor's going to say, hey, you're normal, right? But normal for you may not be normal for the other person. You may operate at a higher level than someone else, or lower level, whatever it is. And maybe you need a little bit more to have the libido again, even though you're in the normal range. I want to optimize it and put you closer to the top part of the normal range versus the bottom part. And even with your thyroid too. A lot of ladies will say, hey, you have a normal thyroid. Is it really normal? I mean, you could be at the bottom of it and still be considered normal. And that's why I don't like just treating numbers. I like treating the actual patient.
And that's actually another thing we didn't even touch upon, but it's just on the lower level, the thyroid, and you guys prescribe by Thyroid, which is a bioidentical thyroid as well. And even that helps so much, just to help support the energy that's needed for me being a mom and running a business and everything throughout the day. And there's no shame in my game for all of this. I want to be the best person that I can, and that goes with energy, and then your energy leads to your mood and your relationships, all of that.
100%. And these days, where I feel like we're under more stress as it is, with how the world is just fast paced now, right? So I think our bodies are just being constantly bombarded with so much stressors, digital and emails, texts. We have all this stuff we never had 20, 30 years ago. And so I think we need to optimize ourselves to keep up with that and perform at our best, because like you said, you're a businesswoman, you're a mom, you're also a great wife, etc. That's a lot to take on.
To juggle. Do you feel like there's a difference in the results that you see with men and women, in the sense of like, do men get in shape a lot faster and easier when they do this than women do when when
They do it.
they're
What?
both utilizing it, or is their sex drive different and men's are just like that much more than women's? Like we're still on the low side.
Good question. Yeah. I mean, I'd say with the libido or the sex drive, I think it's about the same. I'd say a lot of women are just like, holy cow, I had a patient, she was, gosh, in her late 60s. She said, I haven't had a libido in probably 20 years. I can't even look at the pool boy now. I can't even look at the gardener outside.
That's awesome.
but that's good, right? Because it's coming back,
yeah.
and she feels alive again, right?
Yes.
And then the same thing too. I think men we have a little more muscle mass, obviously, so they may get shape a little bit quicker just because they have more muscle mass. But I think when it comes to the mental acuity aspects and the libido, et cetera, and how they feel with the mood, I think it's about the same with both, as long as you're balanced. But yeah, it's pretty remarkable to see how someone can change within a week of not feeling alive for 20 years to look at the pool boy.
Yeah. We need to hire one of those pool boys here, I guess.
Right?
And then in the sense of too, with the common hormone changes or drops that you see between men and women, is it kind of like the same where it's like testosterone, estrogen, or is it
then after the age of 21, we really, and I'd say probably, late 20s, we really start declining. Women are kind of almost stay the same, but when women hit menopause, it's like, it just shuts off. And that's really devastating to women to go through that, with how they feel, et cetera. And so our timing's almost off. Like when we're men, we peak at like 21 where we're like rabbits, right? We can eat whatever we want. We don't gain weight. We have all this energy to go out and just take on the world stuff. Then we slowly just decline. And so I think for women, it kind of comes a little bit later, in the menopausal years. And it's really just sad to see that happen because that's when I see a lot of like breakups and divorces happen around that age. And they always tell me, gosh, Doc, if I just had these hormones when I was going through that, I could have saved my marriage. I could have saved my relationship, et cetera. So it's men too. Same thing with men. Sometimes they really lose in their late 40s, 50s, and the midlife part. And
they go through the menopause too. I've absolutely heard like
menopause,
those little sports cars and everything. Yeah. Truly, I'm not even. I mean, I'm jesting and joking a little bit, but it really is. They're
midlife crisis that you always hear about, right?
Yeah. It is. And you can see how much, having been through so many hormones myself, whether it was like the fertility ones that were injected or being so low or postpartum and all that, like you can be totally off your wagon if your hormones are not balanced. Absolutely. And I feel like that's the main thing from today for anybody listening who just feels depleted or feels a little off, and hopefully hasn't been too long, but it never hurts, and you can't be too young. I mean, maybe your 20s are a little young, but sure. If you're feeling off, go get tested and just see where it's at, because especially as a trainer and someone who works with nutrition with people, if you're not making any changes and you are working so hard, something has got to give, and we need a specialist for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that too. It's not just the hormones that are going to be a miracle. I think, like you said, it's the entire holistic approach. You got to improve your lifestyle too. Like I say, if you start these hormones, you really need to pick up. Once you start feeling better, that energy starts coming back. Start hitting the gym again. I mean, start working out again. Change your lifestyle. Change your dieting, your routines and lifestyle, because hormones are just one of the caveats to feeling better. And I think it's all encompassing that you have a way to approach you improving yourself. So I don't think it's just the hormone. A lot of people say, well, I got the hormones and this, how come, my life hasn't completely changed? Well, it's everything. It's balance, right? It's got to be that you're eating, your lifestyle, start working out again, et cetera, become more active, get outside more, especially since COVID, everybody's just been holed up and everything. And it's caused a lot of depression and et cetera. So get out again,
And I love that about your office, is that you guys represent that, and everybody that works there, you can tell that not only do they love what they do and have so much wisdom in anybody you speak with, but that they understand that whole mentality of a well-rounded and well-balanced routine and health and all of that too.
Yeah.
And Yeah, totally. And that's why, I mean, I will say recently, I was on the hormones before I got pregnant, which actually probably helped me to get pregnant,
Yes.
just with that balance and the energy and all that. And then was obviously off for a while, but most recently, what am I, like a year and a half, less than a year and a half out from giving birth. And I just had absolutely no energy. It was just
Right.
like woke up in the day, couldn't work out. And everybody knows Christine Bullock. I have energy to work out all day long, but I was like, I can't work out, Dr. Asandra, please help. And, so
Yeah,
obviously everything was in balance and I
sure.
immediately feel so much better. So
I'm
thank you.
so happy for you. That's great, Christine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes. So is my husband. I'm sure he's really
I'm
happy
sure he's
too.
happy too.
So, speed round questions
Yes.
here. Breakfast, do you eat breakfast or do you follow intermittent fasting?
Good question. I do both. So
Mm.
I do eat a breakfast because I don't eat. I try not to eat after 5 p.m. So I'm all the way till the next day almost, and I haven't eaten. So that's kind of a fasting. But then I will eat a small breakfast as well and get my day going. I don't like to skip breakfast myself, but if you can intermittent fast with like a good 8 to 10 hour window, I think it's really good for you.
I mean, I could delve into that. Have you
Sure.
found, obviously for yourself, but for clients as well with hormonal imbalances, like does it help with anything?
It does with
There's
most
science to it.
patients. There is. I think it depends on what they're eating too, right? I don't think you should just pig out during those 8 to 10 hours, or that you can eat, or whatever, 6 to 8 hours, right? But you got to
I've
balance
been
it
known
too.
to do that.
Right. I do. I used to do that too, but I think it's important that you see when is the right time and judge your body. I don't think you should eat before bedtime, because when you're eating a lot before bedtime, you just kind of store it all, so you gain more weight. And I try not to eat after 5, 6 p.m. max, and then not eat anything again until the next day. So I think it works for most people. It doesn't work for everybody, but I think it's important to see what you're eating too. And that's why it's probably important to consult someone like yourself to see, figure out their eating routines and their lifestyle, et cetera.
What do you do when, like your dinners, like a late night, outing? Because for me too, we don't eat that late. We put the kids to bed earlier, so
Sure.
it's easy when we're home not to eat that late. But then when we have these dinners, and now through COVID, we're kind of going back out a little bit. It's like you're
Right.
not even hungry at that point, but you do end
It's
up
true.
snacking. Do you
Yeah.
just kind of balance it? What do you do?
Yeah. I will, if you do eat, I usually say, I'll have a protein shake or something like that, or drink some
Mhm.
liquids, et cetera. I try not to eat, like I said, not as close to bedtime as possible. And it's hard not to when you got dinner outings, et cetera. So if I do have a late night dinner, I'll probably extend my fast in the morning. Instead of eating at 9 a.m., I may push it to 11 or 12. But I try to keep that, period where your body's in that little bit of starvation mode.
Hmm. Love it. And it's so good for anti-aging, which is one of the reasons why I started
Yeah.
originally. Said it allows the body to heal.
Hmm.
So we'll have you on another time to talk all your
Yeah,
anti-aging tips.
absolutely.
What is your favorite morning ritual?
Well, getting up in the morning, it's always difficult, but I'm a morning person. So I like to get up, and I'm usually up by, 5:30, 6 a.m. Usually hitting cardio if you can, doing some fasted cardio. That's one of the things I like to do. I obviously got a Peloton, et cetera, because if I don't want to run outside, but really hitting a good fasted cardio for 20, 30 minutes, hardcore, getting up that sweat, really gets your day going. It gets me in a good mood, gets me energized, makes me feel good. I feel like detoxed.
Mhm.
But that's usually what I do, first thing in the morning. And then like I said, I'm fasted. I won't even eat for, an hour or two after that. So I really like doing that, and then eating something healthy in the morning as well.
I love that. That is, I mean,
Yeah.
we're sister, brother from another mother. It's the
There
same
you
thing
go.
I've stuck to for so long. And I actually get this question all the time. So this is going to lead to one more question, which is people ask, should I eat before I work out or should I fast before I work out all the time?
Right.
And I obviously do what you do, but I'm going to let you respond to this and see what
Yeah,
you
I
think.
think in the morning, if you do that fasted cardio, it's good to do it that way. I noticed, at least for me, I noticed that I'm able to keep weight off easier that way. Now, if you're gonna if you're gonna do a heavy lifting session later in the day, I do think you need to eat a little bit. You don't want to go in there on an empty stomach and try to lift and do a hardcore workout. Otherwise, you're gonna crash and you're not gonna feel good, and it's actually gonna be more detrimental to your body than having something in your body to feed your body during that strenuous workout. So maybe eating
Mhm.
something small, a little bit of carbs, but I wouldn't, do a fasted hardcore workout later on in the day. I think in the morning is a perfect time to do that fasted cardio.
Yeah. So I guess it just depends on your goals too, and the times that you have to work out.
Yep.
All right. Last question. What's one thing that you're working on to improve in your own personal life?
Good question. I think one of the hardest things that any of us should try to do and can do is digital detox. I mean, can you really stay away from your phone for 1 hour? And I ask people that all the time. It's very hard. And so putting your phone away during dinner with the family or with your significant other, whoever it is, it's hard not to be constantly checking your phone because we're always being bombarded, 360 all the time, 24/7. So trying to get the digital detox going, I'm very dedicated to my patients too. So I want to respond to them whenever I can, et cetera, and to my work. But I think for your own mental sanity, if you will, and it's good to digital detox if you can, while you're working out, whatever it is, at least get your phone away for at least an hour. I got to say it's quite difficult to do. It's harder than you think. And see if you can do it during the middle of the day or even in the evening. Put that phone down for half hour, an hour, and see who can do it.
I absolutely love that. And I love that you brought in something so completely different to what we were speaking of today, but that really affects our health. And yeah, it's so true. Like when I'm feeding the kids and sitting with them, I really try not to be on it. And I'm like, oh, I got to get my Instagram post out this morning, and then you go back. But yes, it's so good for you. I recently heard somebody else speak about how we need to take like 1 to 2 hours for ourselves a day and whatever that means. But I think that even if you think that digital or Instagram is for you, it's not. So you have to find something else, like your workout, whatever it is.
1 to 2 hours. I mean, that's today's me. That's hard.
Yeah.
That is hard to do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one thing I'm trying to work on, even if it's in slow increments, getting that meditation, because I think we are, not only does our body need to detox, we need to detox our mind as well. When it comes to this, for our own mental health, et cetera, we got to take care of our mind just so we can do our bodies.
Balance, man. We're talking about balancing hormones and balance. You got to work on balancing everything else. Well, I love it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Asandra, for sharing your wisdom and personally getting me back to feeling my most vital and balanced and best. And libido. My husband thanks you too.
All right. Yeah, thank you guys so much, Christine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Asandra. Thank you all for joining us today on Keep It Simple Sexy. And for those of you feeling the symptoms of hormonal imbalance, I hope today's episode gives you hope and guidance in restoring your optimal health and feeling younger than ever. You can visit the notes of today's podcast for bulleted highlights of actionable steps that you can apply to your daily health routines. Subscribe to us, and if you loved today's episode, as I'm sure you did, please leave a review and share it with a friend who needs to hear it.
Have questions you need answered? Text me at 1-310-361-8697. Make sure you follow me on social at Christine Bullock, and have a healthy, happy week. See you next time.